All right, we are back for episode 5 of the Spidcast after a bit of a break. I am Peter. I am the founder of the Spidworks Foundation. That is Stephen Schaefer, aka Steve Shepard, aka Ich bin ein Berliner, if I do say so myself.
Am I still Dr. Spid?
Ah, I guess so. We have the Doctor question mark Spid question mark. How's it going?
It's going well, after a very rough weekend with the heat wave here in Berlin. Things are nice. It's really lovely temperatures, making good progress on all of the Dr. Spid top secret research. So, what can I say? Life's good.
Amazing. And then we have our special guest, a two-time and current Spidworks athlete in the Zone 6 program. I guess, Stephen, you are a former, but we've got Paige here. Paige Wheeler calling all the way from the wilderness of, Vermont up there. Paige, how is it going?
It's going great. We just got back from some racing in Princeton, and we're preparing for a bunch of racing in at Canadian Henley. So
Amazing. Very, very cool. We will get into what all that means for those that have no idea about rowing or the US slash elite rowing programs across the North American and European landscape, which I think probably includes both of us, Stephen. So we're going to learn a lot during this podcast
Please educate me. I am sad, ignorant, and eager to learn.
and burning up in Berlin still. But
For chill.
well, Paige, I think I'm going to undon the spid shades here so we can actually see something. But I think what would be nice to start is hearing a little bit about your background in elite rowing, maybe going all the way back to your kind of getting your teeth cut in the DC area with high school rowing and performance, maybe intro to HP or high performance rowing over at PBC, collegiate rowing, and then how you kind of got to where you are currently today. So happy to have you tell us a little bit about the stories from Northern Virginia all the way to Vermont.
absolutely. So before I started rowing way back when, I was playing ice hockey actually, from like being maybe 6 to 14, 15, and then I ended up getting into rowing around 8th grade. In Virginia, if your middle school doesn't have a sport, then you can race in high school as an 8th grader. So that's when I got into it as a novice out on the Potomac at PBC under Washington Lee, now Washington Liberty High School. And that is kind of where I started sweeping, which is the one oar with two hands, which is different than what I do now. It's two oars, one in each hand, which we can also get a little bit into later. But I so then was with Washington Liberty for 5 years and tried to kind of get my way into the U19 national team system. I had gone to like a high performance camp, but hadn't quite like edged my way in there completely. But then I ended up going to University of Kansas to row eights for my freshman year of college. And I wanted somewhere a little bit more like competitive, I guess, and a little bit higher competition because I had those national team aspirations. So I ended up transferring to Ohio State after that. And I did 3 more years there racing, won a Big Ten championship, which was pretty cool. Went to NCAAs three years in a row. It was pretty awesome. It was really cool to be surrounded by just such high quality athletes and learning a lot from them. Then post Ohio State rowing, I was there. My credits got a little bit wonky having transferred, so I stayed 1 more year training on my own and also coaching, like assistant coaching the novices, and finishing my last 2 classes. One was only offered in like the fall and one was only offered in the spring, so I was there the whole year. It was great. Um, And then I applied for Green Racing Project, which is where I'm at now in Vermont. And I've been here just a little bit over a year now, full-time training. And I guess through Ohio State, I did end up making one, and GRP, which is Green Racing. I did end up making a U23 team in the double for 2024. And then now we're up in the big leagues looking for a senior spot. So,
All right.
yeah.
Amazing.
And what did you end up, or what did you study when you were at Ohio State? 'Cause, that may be an interesting thing just to have a little interlude on.
Well, yeah, I studied biochemistry.
So maybe you and Stephen have a future together talking about advanced sciences.
Listen,
Ooh, pretty
Peter, I
cool.
can only work with the inorganic chemicals, all right? You start talking about these carbon chains and, you know, alkyne groups, whatever, it just right in one ear and out the other.
I work in consulting. Science is science. It's fine. Awesome. Yeah. And I think, yeah, Stephen, you probably have some questions about what the heck GRP is and why Vermont and all this.
Yeah, talk to me exactly about what the Green Racing Project is and your training center, and maybe start us off by just letting me know how long have you been there and how long do you anticipate this going?
So I got here last May, so it's been a smidge over a year. And so Green Racing Project is up here in almost Canada, but like northern Vermont.
It's America's attic.
Yeah. But it's pretty beautiful. It's a great place to live and train. Huge community, especially around elite athletics and also just lifelong sport. There's also elite biathletes and skiers and long distance runners here as well, training. So it's really cool to be surrounded by other athletes that aren't just rowers. So you can grab advice from somebody who's a little bit in different shoes, but also on the same or a very similar journey as well. So that's pretty cool. And so basically how it works up here is we have a 10 hours a week like work hours requirement in order to kind of offset the support that we get training, which is not even close to in like fully inclusive of that. We definitely get way more than we can give back, but it helps a little, like as much as we can. And those work hours are basically things that will further the center or the community that the center is a part of, and just like upkeep and also helping like the water or the forest, all of that kind of stuff. So some of the things that I've done, I frequently scuba dive in the lake to remove invasive species, or we've done a lot of trail maintenance, planting trees or creating trails, upkeep of the summer ski areas that become trails in the winter. Um, all sorts of things. Then there's also the community aspect where we've done a lot of work with the food pantry for Vermont, both in like distribution of like 50-pound bags of flour and or beans and rice, that kind of stuff. So we'll get like 300 pounds of those things a week, and we like pare them down into like 2-pound bags, and those get distributed to the food pantries. And then on the other side of that, we'll also deliver like the boxes to local people's houses that have all sorts of great things in there. And there's so much more. There's like wood shop kind of work as well that is distributing firewood or insulation panels for windows. That's like a bunch of projects that go on that we're a part of.
Do you all have a partnership, or what's kind of the relationship with Concept 2? Because I guess they're somewhat related, if not just up near you in Vermont.
So the center is mainly by Dick and Judy Dreisig, who are the Concept 2 owners, and this is kind of like their passion project of both furthering elite sport and lifelong sport, and then as well as the environment and sustainability of the area. And so this is kind of like their passion project that we get to be a part of. So yeah.
And Steve, if you don't know Concept 2, they make the ergs, like bike ergs, rowing ergs, ski ergs. So they're sort of like the tax wahoo of these worlds.
Okay, okay, I got you. So
Yeah,
what you train
freestyle.
on when it's really awful outside and you can't bring yourself to go out in 40 degrees and sleet. I get it. Wow. I
Yeah,
mean, this
yeah.
is really amazing, Paige. I'm learning a lot here. I had no idea this green racing project was such a large umbrella with so many different types of athletes and so many different types of activities. Maybe
Hmm.
can you give me a sense of like how big this whole training center is? Like how many athletes, how much area does it cover in terms of what you have available to train with and resources?
Yeah, so we'll start with athletes numbers, I guess. So we have 18 rowers, and then there's, I think I want to say like about 15 or 20 skiers and biathletes, and then the running team is a remote team, so we don't see them as much on campus. Um, but I want to say there's 8 to 10 of them, I believe. Um, but the day-to-day interactions is with the rowers, the skiers, and the biathletes. So there's probably 35, 40. Um, and then in terms of like the facility, um, we have, I believe it's 105K of ski trails. And then we have the lake that we row on is Big Hosmer Pond, which is 2,800 meters long. So we do a little bit of back and forth, but it's really all you need. It's lovely and very protected. So good stuff. It's a beautiful place to train.
Incredible. I
I was
mean,
going to ask about the protection. It's not
Sometimes
exactly the Potomac.
yes, and other times there's a headwind both ways. So just same as any other
Great.
place.
Fair enough. Good to know.
Oh yeah.
so cool. Yeah, I mean, hearing about the size of this cohort, I'm just imagining like this almost historic schoolhouse in the woods deep in Vermont, like basically just packed with a bunch of really motivated and upstanding athletes, as I'm
That's
sure you
funny
all
you
Totally.
are.
say that because before the Dreisackers purchased this area, it was a troubled boys not retreat but like home, I guess. So that's exactly what it used to be.
Okay, guess
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
hit the nail on the head.
Um, so Paige, tell us a little bit about, I mean, now that you're at GRP, and you got a year under your belt and you've been doing, I think, a lot of racing between last year and this year. Was it last year? One of the highlights I remember was the Tuxedo Regatta, if I recall
Oh yeah.
correctly.
That was pretty
Um,
cool.
they've had some really cool results. And then this year in particular, I think you were able to get over to Europe and do some stuff. So I don't know if you can share about like some of the racing highlights that you've been able to do with GRP kind of across the full kind of 12-month calendar, and then maybe what you have coming up for the rest of the season here.
Yeah. So as all highlights go, there's highs and lows of racing. We can start with Europe. We can start with, it's not necessarily low, but it was my first time racing in Europe. It was a very exciting opportunity that I got to go, and I did manage to flip in my semifinal. Um yeah, so that was pretty crazy. Um I got back in really as fast as I possibly could and tried to still make the A final, which might have been a little insane of me, but I mean, what are you gonna do?
You went all the way to
So
Europe.
needless
Got to
to say,
try.
I did not. Yeah, yeah. Needless to say, I did not make the A final. But it was a very fast 1500 post flipping. And I ended up getting second in the B final the next day. The reason for the flip was there were a lot of weeds on the course, and they wrapped around my oar and just sucked it right under. And before,
Ooh,
in rowing, there's like a lot of people that'll say like, oh yeah, like I flipped. It was like when you're clipped in, I guess for bikes of like the super slow-mo, like 0 mile an hour fall. This was not that. This was like instant, oh my God, I'm underwater.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that was pretty funny.
Can you
Not
walk us through actually getting back in? Because, and I'll try to set the stage for what's in my mind right now. Like, first of all, Steven, I crashed my bike the other day on a friggin' flat piece of land, and it was a little bit of a slow-mo of like I got caught in a tire track and then just got progressively more and more into the bushes to the point where I'm like, okay, I gotta bail and like unclipped, and I'm, going towards a tree and luckily scrubbed off speed and just scraped and messed up my hand a little bit. But in like the outrigger canoes that I do, like flipping, it's actually not, I mean, you don't want to, particularly at a race, like you really don't want to, but they're inherently buoyant because the cockpit is kind of like an open cockpit that's meant to be flooded. It's got holes in it. When you're at speed, it sucks the water out. And it's like a closed hull where unless you have like a hull breach, it's not going to sink. So getting back in is like you generally get the boat flipped over and then you can like flop yourself on top and kind of get going. I'd say an athletic person can like 10, 20 seconds kind of be, it takes a lot of, energy, but you can be back in and moving and you're kind of like getting your stuff sorted and maybe you've had a yard sale.
Sounds like
I think
about bike crash timing. Yeah.
you're right. Yeah, like you got to get your levers back in place. Maybe like your cockpit's a little cockeyed for a while, whatever. But Paige, tell us about a rowing shell and the what the heck happened, what kind of yard sale you threw, and I don't know. In my brain, I'm like, I don't understand how you got up underway again and still were like flying down the race course. So please educate us.
well, number one, I'd say a lot of adrenaline. Um, first and foremost. Um, I would say, I mean, it probably took 30 seconds or so to get back in. So it was flipped, the hull was fully to the sky, essentially. So I had to both like flip the boat over, then you like toss your outside oar out to where it's fully like in the oarlocks again, and then you kind of like grab the two oars touching the handles together, and then you kind of push yourself like you're getting out of the pool and jump back in. Although when you flipped it, there's a lot of water kind of sitting in there, so that's all sloshing around. So it's a little bit heavier as well, like rowing after that,
Be a lot
unless
of
you
work to
were
get back up
it.
to speed carrying all this
Yeah,
heavy water, right? Yeah.
yeah, a little bit. And then it's also like sloshing back and forth while you're moving because boats are for rowing, like they do kind of like sway forward as you're going down the course. So it's not ideal for racing, but yeah,
No.
if the adrenaline takes you, you can do anything.
And
Where was this course exactly?
This was in Amsterdam.
In Amsterdam.
mm, dare I ask where you were in the race? Well, you said it was in the first 500, it sounded like, but like place wise, how was the race going to that point?
Um, I was definitely like in it for sure. I was definitely like trading bow balls with the first couple of people. I definitely
Oh,
like, expecting to keep to qualify, but um who knows? Anything can happen. And
totally.
in fact, it did. So that's just kind of the beauty of it. Of like, yeah, that's why you always keep going because you never know. Somebody could flip. Somebody could catch a crab. Somebody could fly and die. And it was my day. So
Did you, and the last question I'll ask on this, and then I promise we will stop grilling you on
no worries.
having the wet side up here. But uh, did this have something to do with lane placement, or were all the lanes having somewhat of a weed situation, and you just got lucky that the weeds decided to, grab out to your blade? And
It actually ended up being like a very systematic issue.
Mm,
They sent out a lot of words afterwards of saying like, I'm so sorry that this happened. And like system wide, and they actually ended up saying any returning international crews next year will have their registration waived because
Oh, wow.
is a huge thing, and we really respect that we want this to be a high turnout international regatta, and that isn't really how it happened this time, and we really would like you to come back. So they definitely made some movements towards that, which is pretty cool of them. I'm sure they were tired of having people come and petition for, oh, I lost this race because of weeds over and over and over again. So
Oh,
definitely tough
and
on them too.
I know one thing in paddling because and you guys, I guess, have the short skag underneath where even if it's not grabbing an oar, you could get stuck.
But yeah,
And, we've got rudders that are significantly larger because we're doing more turning. Even if one leaf, like, I mean, the Potomac, they've got those huge maple leaves
but
that
yeah.
come down. I've gotten one of those stuck and I'm like watching it at like 6.3, 6.4 miles an hour. And then it just like absolutely plummets to like 5.3. And it's just such a struggle. And it's like one leaf.
Ha, sounds like
So I
Canadian
can't imagine about,
sabotage. Maple
oh,
maple
it's
leaves.
crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So I can't imagine what like rowing through like a weed farm is like over in Amsterdam.
How
Oh,
long was
man.
your European race campaign there?
I was just over there for that one race.
Okay.
So it was a little bit under a week. It was like I think a Tuesday to a Monday, trip from Vermont to Amsterdam and back, because we had the next weekend, or I guess it was like 10 days later, because I came back in the middle of a week. So we had about a week and a half to prepare for our speed order race, which is kind of like a national team ranking race in which the top two would have or did get automatic invitations to selection camp for the world championships later also in Amsterdam. So they have a nice little pre-race. They figured out what they need to do moving forward. So
Yeah, maybe you can help me understand a little bit of the scope of like what an entire season would look like here. How many races do you do? When do you start? What is it all building towards? Like what are your A races?
so it kind of depends whether you're fully immersed in the national team or if you're kind of on the outskirts trying to still punch in, which that's where I am right now. So right now, since I did not get an invite to selection camp. Now our sights are set for that Canadian Henley race in 2 weekends. So I'll be racing the single and a pair there as well. So that's pretty fun. But so if you're in the pool of the national team, they have 3 World Cups that are international races that it's kind of like a circuit prior to Worlds where people can kind of see and have experience racing other teams, but not every team goes to every race. So I think the US went to World Cup 2 and 3 this year. And then after that, that was or I guess that was a smaller group of boats that they took. And then for the World Championships, they'll try to field every boat class. And so that selection camp is going right now. And that will select everybody for the World Championships.
Oh, so it sounds like a lot of it is really structured strongly around um, national teams and racing internationally in the world champs.
Mhm.
It's an interesting contrast, I guess, to what I'm a little more familiar with cycling, where um, there's a much smaller focus, I guess, on this national team type of aspirations. It's interesting to compare and contrast. How many, with that in mind, like roughly how many races will you do in a year, or say this year?
I think so. For the national team ranking races, there's usually 3. This year I think there were only 2. But there's usually a fall speed order and then a summer speed order, which is the one that we just came back from, and then sometimes there will be like an NSR, which is a national selection um regatta. So that will be like the winner of the single gets to be the single at Worlds, that kind of thing. Um, and then the speed orders are typically just a ranking so that the national team coaches can see where everybody is at and then kind of decide who gets invited to what camps for training with the team for the season. So that there's those three, and then we do a fair bit of racing in the fall. We'll go to like the Charles or that tuxedo race, or there's a couple head races locally. There's Green Mountain Head, which is a Vermont race that's actually so awesome. It's a head race that it's a stake, so you go out 180-degree turn and back. And because it's the most Vermont thing ever, the prizes are maple syrup, a bushel of apples, and a gallon of cider. So it's awesome. It's so cool.
Fight for that maple
It's very,
syrup.
right. It's very like whimsical. And then so that's the fall. So maybe another 3 races there. So that's 6. And then we'll do Canadian Henley in the summer. And we also did, or I guess this year we're not doing ERA, but that's a race in Montreal that we also have done in the past. This year it's just too close to Canadian Henley to schedule make sense. So typically between, I guess, 6 and 10, depending on the year.
I do have one more question about that. It seems like the volume of races is really relatively small compared to the length of a year and a season. So, um, how do you manage? I guess do these races feel like there's a really large amount of pressure to deliver on each of these few opportunities that you get? And if so, how do you manage that approaching each of these events?
There's definitely pros to having a little bit less racing through the year is like you can really settle in at home and like really lean into like your bigger training blocks, that kind of thing. In which we have pieces that we do on the water here that are very similar race experiences as well. There's a lot of fast athletes that train here to go back and forth with. So you kind of get that kind of stimulus if you're not racing an official buoyed course elsewhere. But also, I feel like the more pressure that you put on yourself for those kind of races, typically kind of the worse that you do as a general rule, or at least as far as I've learned. So my favorite races, but also my most successful results have been just having a lot of fun and like really enjoying seeing new people and lining up with new people. And those like do or die mentalities are actually not that helpful, at least for me. And so it's very much just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to send it. And then I'm going to see that person that's like even or maybe a little ahead of me. And I'm going to send it even more. So,
That's an amazing attitude.
Has that been something that you've had kind of from high school and then through college as a mentality, or was it something that maybe you embraced a little bit more at a certain point, or different coaching, or maybe once you got up to GRP was something that they were enabling you to kind of really lean into?
I think just being kind of a smaller athlete, even in like the open weight, like I've never rode lightweight or anything, but like I'm a kind of an in-betweener, that you kind of do just have to be like super gritty and think that you can look up like 6 inches on another person and you're like, yeah, I can do that. I can be too. That's great. Otherwise you kind of just get lost in the sauce, I guess, of like, oh my gosh, that's my idol. But like you can get anybody on any day and anyone can get you on a day. And I guess at Ohio State it very much was like you're getting seat raced every day no matter what kind of mentality. So you just have to show up and really get your foul ball ahead. So
Yeah. I mean, I distinctly remember when you came out and trained with the PBC high performance program when Judith was coaching, and I was out grabbing some video of some of our Spidverse athletes then. I think you were just a wee college sweet grower, and you're out in the single, like the borrowed single from
yeah.
somewhere in the PBC, barn, and you're out there with, a nice, big leagues group, and you were just, trading off some pretty spicy pieces with everybody. It was, a hot DC summer day, and there was no fear in your eyes. So, I mean, very, very nice to see, and also, yeah, as Steven said, what a kind of beautiful mentality to have going into hard racing. Um, I imagine, Steven, that you going into some of these like big cycling races that you've done, and maybe even like El Tour when you laid down the hammer, it's like you sort of have to have a mentality of, yeah, I can get this done. I'm gritty, but also like you sort of want to make sure you're having some form of fun.
Totally. I mean, I have three mantras that I repeat to myself before every race, and it's be safe, go fast, and have fun. This is a very specific order, and the order really matters. First of all, come home in one piece. Second is going fast because that's the way you win a race, and it comes before having fun because sometimes it really hurts to go fast. But at the end of the day, unless you are like a true professional athlete who's signed a contract and is being paid a salary here, like you better be having fun. Um, that's my take on it. And also, let's be real. I don't think we can amp ourselves up for every single little race and think like this is, my worth as a human being is defined by how I place in this race because, well, you're never going to last if you go that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I did actually have a follow-on question, which I'll try to frame based on your last comment there, Stephen. It's kind of about like Pain Cave, because we talked previously with Gemma and Todd about their silver at 2023 World Championships in the PR3 mixed double. Um, and Stephen was learning all about rowing for the first time, and the fact that it's a 2K race and like they're facing the wrong way and, all this sort of stuff. Um, and I think, just for like broad awareness, that's effectively what you're training for these world championship and selection regatta stuff is still like the 2K, although I guess for LA, they're changing that to a 1500 or something bizarre. But currently, it sounds like you're still racing a 2K course. You also mentioned head racing, which I'll let you explain a little bit more because the distance and kind of strategy there is a bit different. But can you talk to us about, yeah, maybe explain LA Classic 2K head races, and I'm actually interested in how you approach that from a pain cave perspective.
So head races are typically done in the fall, and they're usually between 4 and 6K, I guess, depending on the course. And some of them are like a point to point. Some of them are like the one that I was talking about in Vermont. That's a stake turn where you turn halfway, which adds just an extra level of chaos to it, which was awesome. And honestly, I feel like I'm like a fairly aerobic athlete. And so I kind of really enjoy head racing. Just because it's such a long workout, I guess. So it's kind of a around 15 to 20-minute effort as opposed to like a 7-8 minute effort. And so that's also, it's not something that we train all the time. So it's very much like okay, can we come into this effort and do something crazy that you don't really have that much familiarity with? And just throw down as much as you possibly can. Um, and it kind of feels very similar to like seat racing when you like get in a boat and that's like how they like will make switches in order to see who's faster. It's very much like I'm going to get in here and I'm going to do it. And I've never rode with this person before, but it feels very similar, like attacking a different type of piece like that you're not super familiar with. So it's kind of interesting to like, I guess, flex those kind of muscles or like exercise those kind of muscles in just like unknowing, I guess.
It almost sounds, Stephen, like when there's like a random time trial stage thrown in, and maybe not everybody's like a time trialist. It's like, oh, cool. This is like a different type of thing, and we're gonna have to go out there and do something different than maybe a traditional stage or a crit or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I this is maybe an interesting topic of discussion. I feel like every cycling race is unique, unless you're on the velodrome. because there's so many variables that go into it. There's the course, there's the distance, there's the competition, there's the weather. It's like an extremely highly highly dimensional kind of a problem approaching each individual race. Um, to what extent do those kind of environmental factors or course factors play into your performance in rowing and in these head races in particular, versus how much of it is like maybe running on the track where I know I can go so fast for 5K?
Um, I think that it definitely depends on the course. Like if you're in the middle of a turn, you're not going to be as fast as like a straightaway kind of thing, or maybe there's more wind at this part versus this other part. So it's very much just like exercising like your boat feel of like, oh, okay, this is a great place to just send it. And then you can kind of like damage control, I guess, like other areas in order to like mitigate speed loss. And it's really just like, can I do this part better than somebody else who's also racing this in my category? And just like chip away like each of the sections, whatever they may bring. And then like a 2K on like a straight buoyed course could definitely be more of like okay, I'm gonna stare at that stake boat holder, which is the person that like holds you and like lines you up and all that. I'm gonna stare at them basically until I get across the finish line and just really stay internal. So it kind of depends. I think head
Tractor
racing.
pull, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like being on the indoor trainer, it's like one dimension. Just how hard can you pedal your bike? That's it.
Man, do you, when you're training or doing cross training, speaking of bikes, do you get out on the bike on any like gravel trails or anything up near you, Paige?
Oh yeah, I actually went on an excursion yesterday. It
All
was
right.
about 50 miles because I wanted to go to the yarn store.
Okay.
Yep.
Motivation.
So I grabbed a
How?
ticket and we went to St. Johnsbury. We like drove a little bit because we didn't want to go crazy rogue on the training plan.
Mhm.
Because our coaches would have, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so we went out and did like 25 miles out, 25 miles back to a yarn store, just stuffed it in the back of my jersey, and it was awesome.
Heck
I
yeah.
love it.
Yeah, got some yarn and
That's what
a
the
new set
pockets are
of
for.
needles. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
it's not for
next question.
it's for
What are you going to use the yarn for?
um
Yeah.
I am really into knitting socks right now.
All right.
Yep. I finished one sock. It's as like a test for the pattern, but now I'm like gonna get really into it of like the color work, and it's gonna have little mushrooms on it. It's exciting. I think I've told anyone who will listen
This is
about it.
this is very Vermont. I love this. This is exactly what I
Are these
imagine
like
one would do in their downtime up there.
are these cozy socks, performance socks? Like what
Yeah.
kind of socks are we
Arrow
talking?
socks?
Well, they're
Yeah.
definitely not arrow socks.
Yeah, that's a
um,
disappointment.
they are knit, but they're
Unsubscribe.
not like super thick, bulky ones.
Right on. Are you making them for yourself? Are these gifts? Are you selling them and funding your retirement with these socks? Or
Well, I haven't completed a full pair yet, but I think my first pair will be for me, and then
okay,
maybe for some friends. Who knows?
and it is important to have at least a pair.
Yeah.
It might be
It did take about a month to finish one, so it's
okay.
quite the effort.
Well, just think about it. In a year, you can have six pairs of socks, and maybe that's as many socks as you need.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, well,
Um,
go ahead, Peter.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to ask I think you gave us a little bit of a preview of the rest of the year, but do you know, I mean, Head of the Charles is a really big head race at the end of the year. We have the Scullers Head of the Potomac, or SHOP, which is possibly the biggest race on the rowing calendar. But do you know kind of what the rest of the year is looking like for, like planned races as of now, or is some of that still taking shape?
Some of it is definitely taking shape still. I do have a confirmed champ single entry for the Charles, so that's awesome. I raced it last year for the first time in a single, so that was really fun.
All right.
I had only raced it in high school prior to that, so it had been a long time.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that's exciting. Hopefully I can grab a couple more places than last year too. So yeah. And
Absolutely. Hey, a W is always in the mix.
Oh yeah, it could happen any day.
Just throw some weeds out after
No,
you
no.
go through, and
I'm imagining just like Mario Karting everyone with
I
some
was thinking the same
some
thing.
kelp or something. Like, geez.
There you go. Cool.
Uh, Working our way towards a win here. I'm curious to know a little bit about how training at the Green Racing Project has differed from, let's say, training at Ohio State. Like, what tools and workouts and advantages have you gotten from being there in Craftsbury that you didn't have before?
I think definitely there's a little bit like a holistic approach here, which is a little bit different than college, and I think some of that is based on like the time frame of our goals. So like for college, the coach's goal every year is to get 60 athletes to be super in contention for what is it, 24 spots, or I guess yeah. So every year, but then here it's like I'm wanting to get myself into this pool every year, but realistically, it's kind of like a 4-year scale for like the Olympic cycle. And so it's definitely less of a crunch of 4 years as opposed to like 8 months for NCAAs. And then there's a lot of support that's here in terms of like a lot of the food that we eat at the dining hall is grown here, and what isn't is brought from like 50-mile radius farms around. So like that's really awesome for your body as well. And then there's a lot more resources, I guess, in terms of like teammates and also like coaching staff and nutritionists and that kind of stuff, that a lot of college programs aren't like as, if they don't have those, or if they do have those, then it's definitely a lot more athletes to one coach or nutritionist or lift coach, those kind of things. But here, since it's such a small group, it's a lot more accessible. Ohio State, we did have a ton of resources. We had nutritionists and dietitians, and then like we had 2 trainers and like 6 coaches on staff. So it was definitely like a huge machine, I guess. But now it's very similar and trying to like keep you in the game longer, I guess.
Yeah, sounds like it's maybe a little bit less urgent, but kind of a higher ceiling and a lot more like high touch with the people that you work with there. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It certainly sounds like there couldn't be like a nicer place to train. I mean, this sounds like a
Yeah,
Shangri-La if this is the type of
can we
thing.
start riding bikes there? Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, we ride bikes here all the time. A lot of our cross trains, it kind of depends on like what you prefer as an athlete. But I just got a bike this year. Super exciting. Been going on a lot of rides, and then I took my bike down to Charlottesville, which is where we had our training camp this year. It's awesome. So
Stephen, we're gonna have to hold ourselves back from asking about like what kind of bike are you running tubeless?
Yeah.
Like what are the tire situation?
No, no, bad dog, bad dog.
Pretty much, yeah. No, time to shut it down. Well, Paige, you told us about a gravel ride to a yarn store. You told us about yarns and making socks. I'm wondering, is there anything else that you've been doing either this summer or lately that you would deem as like a pretty spid thing that you wanted to share with us?
I mean, definitely I would have probably said the knitting. But I can find something else.
Well, there's not too much pressure because that one is packed with a whole lot of spid, I gotta say.
Yeah.
That totally is.
I mean, we just spend a lot of time like outside, which is also huge.
Yeah.
Great for the cortisol.
Can you tell us what's behind you? Because I'm just looking at Adirondack chairs and a light breeze
Yeah.
rolling through.
Yeah, so this is like a fire pit, and then just over these trees is our lake, and I'm sitting at a pizza oven that we also will do like
What?
for the camp.
Oh, you've been holding this
Hang
back
on
the
now.
whole freaking time? Yeah, what is going on?
It's all right. I'm buying my plane ticket. I'm on my way. This is too
I
good.
think we lost Paige anyways.
The end of the
We
battery.
we may need to wait for the laptop to come back into life.
Oh no. It's just getting good.
Okay,
Paige is back.
my laptop died, but
Okay.
Laptop died, but the show goes on here in
oh yeah,
idyllic
Show
Vermont.
yes.
show goes on. All right, and we're back. Paige is back.
Oh
Everybody's
yeah.
back. We are so back. Okay, so what's not? Hey, something we were going to ask you. What's not spid? And I think that would be the laptop dying. Uh, but
Yeah.
um,
About the laptop.
uh, I, I feel like this is a hard thing because the year seems to be going pretty dang well, and maybe flipping was kind of not spid, but also feels super spid with the way you got in. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it was funny. There were like other competitors that talked after, because it's obviously a super small world. You're seeing the same people over and over again, and they're like, "That was crazy." They were talking about that American girl that the refs like tried to see if they were okay, and we're like, don't touch me, I got it." Because if they take you, then you don't get to advance.
Yeah.
So you
Mm.
need to still like cross the finish line. And I was like, no, I'm good.
I got this.
Hurry up! It's fine.
I'm a
Yeah.
professional.
And most importantly, I managed to save the seat pad and my Oakleys. So,
Oh,
Whoa.
the
mhm.
Oakleys.
Okay.
Yeah. I say
Yeah.
no more. I understand.
What exactly happened with the Oakleys? Were they like on the whole time? Did they fall off and you grabbed them in the water? Like this is an
Um,
important piece of
they were
detail.
on my head, and I felt them like kind of fall backwards a little bit. And I like grabbed them and like tossed them in the footwell. And then I grabbed
Nice.
my seat pad, which was like floating away, tossed it in front of my feet. I did not retrieve the water bottle though, which is really
Mm.
upsetting. But it was just a hair too far because I still was trying. I was like, I could get back in. I could still make it. So I did forego the water bottle, but
So Spidworks may need to hook you up with a water bottle.
well, my coach managed to get me a new one right after. It was because that was like the first thing that I said. I was like, I flipped and I lost my water bottle, and she ended up coming back with another one. This
Well,
guy right here.
oh, hey, here we go. Is that
So
a European water bottle, a proper Euro bottle?
yeah, we got it. Well, I think so. We got it from the course, but I like it because it basically says like "row good." I don't know what it says.
Also,
I'm not
just
sure. I
by the
should
way,
look it up.
Peter, the water
Definitely.
bottles work exactly the same way here as they do in the United States. So,
It's not like Australia where it flushes the other way.
yeah,
Ah.
they screw them on counterclockwise, actually. Yeah.
Incredible. Um, I do feel like there's a special sixth sense when you feel like your glasses are going away. I've had that in the water too,
Yeah.
where like my glasses have been like on the hat, and I'm like, wait, they're definitely, and it's like just about to go. And I don't know if you have the same thing on the bike, Steven, in a yard sale crash.
Stopped the shootout group ride and like pulled myself out of it to go back and retrieve sunglasses I dropped. So I'm like, you know what? Those things are like $200. We must
Yes,
save the sunglasses. And then like really the thing is you got to just get to them immediately before a car just absolutely, atomizes them. So,
there's a lot of free spid in whatever sunglasses you're choosing. I must say. I mean,
yeah, the proof is in the pudding.
I would say so. So, Paige, if you do need some sunnies, that is a specialty of ours here at the Spidworks Foundation, is making sure our athletes are fully protected by the sun.
I am
Uh,
actually in the market. I want to get the ones that like change based on how much sun you're
hmm
getting. I want to
Yep.
get one of those for when we skiing in when we cross country ski in the winter.
Oh, that'd be
Um
great.
which is our main cross training also that we do like systematically here also. So I do want to get a pair of those. So that'd be pretty
Perfect.
cool. Because
We
it's
can talk.
sometimes it's really bright and sometimes it's just not, but the snow's still hitting you in your eyeballs. So
Snow is rough. Yes, absolutely. Well, hey, I think, Steven, it is time for, you guessed it.
What in tarnation?
Howdy, folks. Welcome to What in Tarnation.
Yes.
We are back for
We're
What in
we're
Tarnation.
so back. We were never
It
we
is.
never left.
No, it was what in tarnation was happening regardless.
Yeah,
You want to take it over?
life is but an endless series of what incarnation moments. But for this
You
one,
said it.
I will throw it back to the one and only time that I was in Vermont for the Green Mountain Stage Race. This would have been maybe 2023, maybe 2024, but it's a 5-day cycling stage race, and I think the first, sorry, 4 days. And I think the first stage is the time trial, and it's a relatively short affair, primarily uphill. But you're not allowed to bring a time trial bike. You need to use your regular mass start road bike, which certainly makes things a lot easier for travel. However, you are still allowed to use all the other aero goodies, like a time trial helmet. So I packed my road bike with my time trial helmet in my bike box, and gave it to TSA and do what you got to do. And naturally, I get into Vermont and all the way to our Airbnb, and I see that they've taken, 2 out of the 4 locks off of it. Okay, whatever. This is what I've come to expect. I've got the "we inspected your box" card in there, and I'm looking around, and something is conspicuously missing. My time trial helmet went completely MIA, and this is like a $400 helmet. I was
Chump change.
it's the right color scheme to match my team's kit and everything. Like this helmet is more than just a helmet. I need you to understand this. So yeah,
Hmm.
TSA stole my helmet, and I was like, okay, fine. I had another ordinary helmet in there, but like I thought I could do actually well on this time trial. To make a long story short, I was able to bum the same type of helmet, different colorway, but the same helmet, off of Connor White, who I think at the time was the Bermudan national champ. Um,
Hey.
Now lives in London, but he was a good chap. He gave me his still sweaty helmet, and I sent it in a borrowed helmet, and spent the better part of a year trying to get TSA to reimburse me for stealing my time trial helmet. Um, I like to think that one of the baggage inspectors just took it, and he's wearing it now and using it to inspect all the baggage super extra fast. Um,
Safety first.
yeah, yeah.
That thing definitely has X-ray vision, right? So, I mean, he needed it more than you did.
Yeah, maybe it.
I must say, I took your advice on this somewhat, or at least I took your story to heart because when I shipped my bike to Europe on the airplane, I had a lot of heartache of putting like the accessories in. I said, "Oh, I'm going to put everything in my suitcase," and I soon realized that my suitcase was far too full to really put any bike accessories in.
Helmets are
So I
big.
packed the bike box. Oh yeah, helmets they're like way bigger than you expect. And even like your shoes, and then you think about like your bike tools, everything starts taking up a lot of space. My bike box was also monstrously heavier than I thought. I think it ended up being like, I mean, I've got like a light gravel bike, but I think the whole setup ended up being like every bit of 70 pounds. I mean, it was like ridiculous. But I put a note in the box that said like, "Hi, by the way, my bike is like rigidly bolted to this box in case you need to remove it. Also, like, here's my email, here's my phone number. Like, call me if you need anything." And they did inspect it both ways, and
Natural.
both ways they were actually very kind. Like they had clearly taken things like my shoe bag out, looked at the tool bags that I had in the way bottom. They put them in largely correctly, and then both ways they had taken my note, which I'd like taped across the top tube and just like stuck it to the top of the box clamshell piece. But I was very afraid that someone was going to be like walking around the TSA parking lot, employee parking lot, with my bike shoes on or something of the like. But I got lucky this time, man.
Thank goodness. Paige, do you ever run into any trouble traveling with rowing related equipment?
So typically in college, the coxswains could have an issue with like the Cox box, which is the thing that like does the speakers and like speed and that kind of stuff. But I guess the worst thing I ever had was like tools.
Mm.
Sometimes they're a little bit too long or they're a little too heavy. So like
Yeah,
it's very
you could stab someone with that.
sometimes they're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've traveled with like cam lock straps for like putting stuff on your roof, or when I traveled this time, I brought some straps so that when I was going to the airport, I could on top of my wheeled bike box, like put my carry-on bag. And I had it with me with my carry-on setup because I didn't feel like putting in the check stuff. It was wonky unpacking things. I'm like, is someone going to ask me a question on why I'm bringing these like very odd straps on board an airplane? And apparently not. Apparently no one cares about that. So, let that be known. I also think we have an honorable what in tarnation. Of Paige's laptop version was what, like 8 years old at this point. So Paige is operating in a like freshman year of college laptop situation, it seems.
Really,
Uh,
we just upgraded her.
yeah,
I
it
didn't
was
realize
crazy.
that was a problem. I mean, I don't know. That's like 6 years. It should last longer than that, right?
Welcome to the real world.
Her excuse was that she's just out, touching grass, which honestly, so jealous. Keep
Very
being
much
yourself,
so.
Paige. Don't change.
Don't change at all. Well, awesome. Hey, Paige, so we are going to wrap up, but before we do, if folks want to follow more of your journey, aside from seeing you on the massively followed Spidworks social media accounts, like maybe how can they do that? Either like Realist Rowing side or GRP or social media. What's the best way to kind of follow your journey?
I guess like the Green Racing Project on Instagram, or also through like the Spidworks website. There's like my social media on there too. I'm not a huge social media person. I do my best, but it'll be more than rowing. It's also just like fun in Vermont and adventures and travel. So it's not like a crazy, this is what I eat every day. Like I don't know, it's kind of cool. It's a little more of a being a human
No,
than like a
no.
performance Instagram.
Use discount code Paige Wheeler 26 for 26% off your next
Right,
scratch
right.
order.
Hey, I'll
Yeah.
try it. Why not?
I had a sponsorship like that in college once, and I ended up getting it, and I like didn't actually enjoy this thing, and I ended up just like giving it to my team. So I try not to do that one as much. So
Fair enough.
yeah.
Well, amazing. Thank you very much for joining us and making the time out of your large training weeks and showing us the beauty of Vermont and the GRP grounds behind you. And at some point, Stephen, we'll have you fly in from Berlin and we can go and make pizza outside with Paige and sit in those Adirondack chairs.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, you guys are
Anytime,
definitely
man.
welcome.
That's the dream.
Right on. Okay. Well, we'll wrap it up, Paige. Have a really good time training. We'll be following you and probably have you back on here if you're willing.
Awesome.
And
Yeah,
Stephen, we
thank
will
you.
catch you at the next one as well.
Adios.
Bye.